Our next topic really dovetails into what we were just talking about, and that's looking at the VIX. Adam, I know you're not a big fan of the measurement tool, but it spiked over 60 this week with the recent market volatility. What does the VIX mean for investors?
I think the VIX spiking means the market went down. Like to me, it's very redundant with just looking at okay, the S&P is down 10%, the VIX is up. That's just the relationship those numbers are going to have. But it does suggest that what people sort of refer to it sometimes as like a panic indicator. It suggests that people are out there. There's demand for options to protect portfolios, and options have become more expensive because there's more volatility. Other than that, I think it's sort of notable. I think it's very tricky to try to trade volatility. But look, if you own some puts before the drawdown, the VIX spiking, that's how that really helps that insurance, rise in value, which is why you own it. So to me, it's sort of a function of options pricing, highly correlated to what the market's actually doing. And just, another data point amongst the sea of data points that suggests, yeah, wow, people started to panic a bit. There was a drawdown.
Austin, what's your take?
I think it's interesting that people try to use the VIX as a way to managing risk in their portfolio, because in reality, the VIX spiked, I think it went to 82 for a few minutes, and then it dropped back to 60. And then a couple of days beyond, it's much lower. It's getting back to historical norms. How many people actually sold those options at 82, right? How many people actually capitalized on that change? Because I guarantee most of the folks that have been sitting on these options were like, oh, it's at 82 going to 200, right? They're still holding the bag on this thing, and they're riding it back down the other side. So it really didn't do a whole lot for their portfolio other than make them feel good for a day when equities were down and their holding and options were up. So I think it's an interesting indicator. It's an interesting thing to watch and for people to talk about on TV. I just don't know how relevant it is for portfolios unless you're to put, a small portion of your portfolio in a tail risk hedge product that's going to generate a massive return when everything else is getting crushed, and you're hoping that there's, some crushing thing that comes and hits the market at some point.
Look, one of the hardest parts about having a hedge is when it actually starts to work. And you have that moment of if things bounce back, then the value of that hedge comes off. If I sell it and the market goes down another percent, I feel sort of silly because I've thought the fire was going out, so I sort of got rid of my insurance, stopped paying my insurance premiums, and then the fire picks back up again. The reality is, I think the best way to hedge a portfolio is to think of it as insurance that should go to zero and manage it that way. Think of it as a sunk cost. So that way you're not sort of in agony trying to decide whether or not you unwind the hedge.
Yeah. Well said, Adam. Insurance should go to zero. You don't want to use your homeowner's insurance or your car insurance.
Right. Like if you're trading volatility using options, then you should have been smart enough to sell when VIX spiked. If you were buying insurance for your portfolio, you should be saying, I'm gonna put 2% of my portfolio into insurance, and then over the year that's going to go to zero, and then you just keep it.